Hey for lifers, this is Paik4Life coming at you with a brand new line that I've never reviewed before. This is the Diaclone reboot line. I've never checked out this line, and I've never been really checked out any of the Diaclone line. But luckily, as you guys saw a couple weeks ago, one of my viewers, Haley's56, actually sent me a whole box of stuff. Like a ton of items here. I think like over a dozen items. So he was nice to share that. Hey, Princeton, how's it going? So we're going to be going through these, especially with the holiday season. I'll have a lot more time to be able to tackle some of these. So this is the first one that I wanted to do just because it's the one that looked the coolest to me out of the box. This is the Diaclone DA-69 Trivers Tridasher Sunburst. I think it's just a redeco of an earlier version. I'm not really sure again, but so forgive me on all that. If I get something wrong, or if you want to educate me on some of the stuff with the Diaclone line, let me know. But with that, let's go with packaging. Really nice packaging. It's a decent sized box, probably a little bit larger than like a MP. What's it called? Trailbreaker or something like that, around that size. On the top here, we just get some more logo information. Here we see that it has multiple kind of alt modes, and it's basically a robot system and action figure system that can where you can mix and match parts and do like fan modes and all sorts of stuff. So that's what's really cool about this line. Hey TM, how's it going? On the back, you can kind of see what I'm talking about here. There's a bunch of stuff here. The top part of the machine, the torso, or actually the core and the torso can make like this top machine mode, the bottom machine. There's also the bullet core itself. There's the machine mode. There's a mech mode. There's the robot mode. And there's a bunch of accessories. So you got an alternate head with a visor. You got some cannons, weapons, some swords. And the cool thing, again, like I said, is you can combine it with other figures within the line. Like, for example, this figure here, which is the Cosmos Marines version of the Gamma Versalter, stuff like that, and you can combine them, and it just makes for a whole cool system, or platform. It kind of is like Lego system, but for robots. So your imagination is really the limit here. So let's go ahead and get this out of the packaging. You get a few things in this. So you get a little set of decals or decals. Apparently Canadians call decals decals. I don't know why, but you have these that you can use. They're just numbered 0 through 9 a couple times. You get two manuals here. Well, one's really a manual for the core bot itself, or the main bot itself, Tridasher, and it goes through all the different accessories, the various modes, the kind of standard modes that they have. I'm actually going to keep this handy because there's so many things to cover in this review that I don't want to forget and skip anything. But then they also have this one. It's more of like a pamphlet to, again, kind of illustrate what you can really do and expand upon with this line. So here's the Tridasher we're looking at today, the different modes. But then it also goes about showing you how it can combine with other figures. So you can get this like cool longer one. You get this flying one. You get this whole assault convoy, one with wings. So a lot of really cool stuff. Crasher 2, I don't even know what that means. It looks pretty much the same as what we have here. But again, there's a lot of mix and match going on. Oh, I guess the chest is different. But yeah, we'll try to cover a lot of that. I'm not going to go too deep into everything that you can do with this, obviously, because I know so little about this line. Here we have the plastic clamshell. We'll open that up, and you can see what we get. So we'll take all of these one at a time. We have this, I guess this is called the bullet core. There's a number of different cores that you get. You get the top machine and the bottom machine, which come in kind of the robot mode. You also get a bunch of accessories here. So even the weaponry itself is modular. So you got kind of these barrels, which almost look like railgun barrels. You get these little things here, which they kind of look like blast effects, to be honest. We'll look at those in a second. What else do we get? You get these kind of armatures that allow you to mix and match weaponry, clips, and stuff like that, along with these clips down here. You get 4 clips here, which you can use on a variety of areas. You get this head sculpt, alternate head sculpt with the visor and a slightly different color deco, and then these two swords. So you get a lot. These two swords, which are also painted, and then last but not least, the Diaclone driver, which is sealed in here. It's kind of hard to get into this, but let me see if I can pop them out. Come on. It's like sealed in here. So and then you get a Diaclone driver. So you get a bunch of stuff. One of the main complaints that folks have had about this line really is not with the quality of the figure, but just the price tag. So from what you see here, while you do get a bunch of accessories, a little Diaclone driver, and stuff like that, this whole set comes in at over $200. I think US retailers have it for like $230 or something like that, which is a lot, especially given how small this figure is overall. We'll take a look at it once we get them all combined. But that's the biggest complaint most people have had. That's the reason why I haven't even checked out one of them before, since I don't have any nostalgia for this. I didn't want to drop $200+ on a figure I don't know. So thanks again, Halius56. If you all could give him a shout out in the comments and really tag him and say thanks, we're going to be doing so many reviews just thanks to him. So let's just take a look at the Diaclone driver itself at first. He's super tiny in comparison to, let's say, Spike from the MP line. You can see just how much smaller he is, but he's much better built. You'll see just like in the knees itself, you'll see that Spike's basically just clips in from the one side, while this one actually has clips from both sides, so that secures much better. Your leg's not likely to fall off. He has articulation, not at the head. I thought his head did move. I don't want to break it, but he definitely has shoulder sockets, ball joints, so you can get up and around. Nice elbow bend. Can't really go out laterally that much. You can go out about that far, like so. He has a torso crunch. Doesn't have any waist swivel, but he does have ball socketed hips, which let him kick up. He has knee bend, and then he has tiny magnets. Again, similar to what we got with these figures here, the MP figures, even smaller magnets, which allow you to connect them up to various areas. All right, the other accessories we got, the sword, which is nicely painted with silver detail. It has even a textured grip, which looks very cool, crosshatch pattern. You get two of these and even some details here. You get a couple of these armatures, as I mentioned. So they have posts here that can rotate, but then there's another one up here which you can clip into, and then a port here. So you get two of these. These clips, which kind of work in conjunction with these, you can kind of, the standard configuration is to peg these in this way. But really, again, because there's so many ports elsewhere, you can port this in this way as well. There's ports on the body. But we'll go ahead and get two of these, kind of in like the default configuration for these armatures. And then you have two extra ones here. Talking about these guns, again, these are duplicate pieces here, but you guys can see that there's a barrel. There's a port here, so maybe there's blast effects that would work on these. You're supposed to combine it with this kind of handle with the scope. You can turn it sideways if you want. You can turn it vertical if you want. These have two pegs and a port on the back as well. This is supposed to go on the back. And this is how they have it configured in the manual, but you can do a lot of different things with this, right? So you can reverse it so that it has a narrow piece. You can rotate it sideways. You can even have it with just this part in. Actually, even this part, if you just want to do it by itself, it can be like a little pew-pew gun. Or you can even put it in backwards. I don't know why you'd want to put it in backwards, but you can make it look different. So again, just a lot of different playability here. All right, so we'll just get these in the standard configuration for now. All right, let's look at the head sculpts on the two figures here. So you can see the one on the right is the stock one. It has a little bit of gold at the top and then silver on the sides. It's kind of flipped on this alternate headpiece, which has silver at the top on the crest and then gold on the sides. The also major difference is the one on the left has a clear visor. Both do have light piping, and you just pop them on and off the ball joint. You can just pop it off like this, pop it on. There we go. And we'll take a look at each of these pieces. So this is, I guess, again, the core piece. This is called bullet core, I suppose. This is, I don't even know what this is called officially. I think it's just called like the top top machine or something like that. Let me make sure. I think it's just called top machine. Give me a second. Yeah, I think it's just called the top machine and then bottom machine. So this is the torso, as you can see here, and then the bottom machine, which is the legs. So the manual and most other reviews that I saw actually take this and do it into combined robot mode first. I'm actually going to take a look at these individually first, and then we'll do the various modes for each smaller machine, and then we'll go into the combined mode machines, and then into the final robot, just to finish off in the robot mode. All right, so first thing we'll do with this guy is you can actually put this guy in the cockpit here. That's one of the cool playability features. You just want to lift up this neck panel here, open up this translucent cockpit, open up this kind of harness that's in here. Ugh. And then you just want to get this guy in some kind of piloting position. I'm going to tuck him in. Oh, try to keep him straight, unlike I am doing. And then bring this down around his head. These are very, very tiny, as you can see, so they're a little hard to manipulate at times. And then you can close up the cockpit, close this up, and then you have him in this mode. We're actually going to transform him from this. So you're going to lift this up. This whole core piece here actually moves forward. So you want to push from the back. Hey, Bing Bong Toys, yes. Diaclone. I was watching a bunch of the old school commercials. And then you can tuck in the head into the back, and this is what the core mode looks like. You see it has some paint details here. It does suffer from gray plastic syndrome in a lot of places. You can see some of these seams and stuff like that. That's standard with any kind of figure, unless it's painted. It does have a lot of nice surface details, and you'll see a couple things here. You'll notice there's a port at the bottom, as well as on the back. These are actually combinable with these ports that are for the waist and some other areas as well. And then you can go ahead and add weaponry as you'd want. So you can add these pegs to the side or to the side like this. You can probably start adding things like this as well on here, and then you can start adding weaponry like so. You can have it angled back. You can angle these really however you'd like, and so there's just a lot of different playability features, which makes this really interesting. And for those of you who maybe collect the Junkions that are in the main line of the Transformers and build your own like crazy figures, like this is something you would probably really enjoy. This line would be something you really enjoy. But yeah, there's so many things you can do. There's smaller ports up front as well. You're not going to be able to use that with these, but again, just kind of cool that you can do that. So that's kind of the main thing you can do with the core bot. Coming to with the top machine, you can do a few things. Let's do. You usually want to use the core bot with all of them. So we'll go ahead. There's a little port here, and there's a little slot on the side. You basically just want to push this down into here. See how that works. But the core bot itself and the it doesn't do a whole lot by itself, but when you combine it with this figure, the top machine, you'll see some articulation here. You can see some rotating treads kind of pieces that make up the forearms here. What we're going to do is actually come around, and you'll see that this actually has an opening to allow you to tuck the fist in, very Transformers-esque. Close that up, and this can still rotate because it's mounted on the back and can still rotate with the fist in, which is cool. All right, so the thing we can do with this figure is we can do a couple things. But first, we'll go ahead and open this back port up. We can rotate this backwards and bring this back down. You can basically just bring the forearms backwards like this and position them however you'd like. Oh, sorry, let me tuck this hand in first. tuck this in however you'd like and just go back, and then you have kind of like a flying vehicle, like so. Let's see what other vehicles they call out. I think they have 2 modes for this top one. Oh yeah, yeah, and then there's, so that's the kind of the flying mode, but then there's also a tankish mode. So what you want to do with the tank mode is you're going to take these arms, you're going to rotate the biceps outward. This elbow joint is going to bend, and the mushroom peg, which we see a lot on Transformers, is actually used as a tab slot, which you don't see all that often on Transformers. You're going to want to undo the second tab at the elbow, like that, and bring this forward. As you do this, you'll see that there's actually a little triangle here. What you want to do is rotate this piece around so it's facing forward, but then when you close it up, you want that to kind of slot in between this same angle here. You want to get this down. This is going to port into the side here. Same thing on this side, so we're going to go ahead, rotate 90 degrees outwards on that section, untab this port, tab in the bicep, and again, rotate this red piece around so it's angled right there to line up. And you tab that in. And then you can do with this what you want. They usually keep this up, but again, they typically use one of these ports back here to house this. You can have the weapon like this, or you can have it folded flat, like so. Clip this in. Same thing with the other one. Go ahead and tab that in. Oops. Get this weapon like so. Or if you don't want to do that, you can get rid of this, or just have one, and you can have just put the weapons directly into the body here. You can make this piece maybe look like kind of like a satellite dish for communications or something. Peg that in. So yeah. Again, there's just so many things you can do with this if you're more creative than I am. So when you have this pegged in, it actually does roll with the forearm pieces, but there's also a little tiny wheel on the back. So he does roll. So I think those are the 2 modes, at least the ones that they really talk about in the manual for the top machine. We'll push him off to the side from now. Sorry, I'm missing some messages here. All right. Are Diaclones GoBots? Oh, come on now. Hey, Toy Mafia. Hey, Less Effective. Less Effective says, oh no, Paik has fallen down the Diaclone rabbit hole. No, not yet. Oh, hey, Halius. Halius. Again, Halius is the one that sent the box over, so I'm glad he's able to join. Bing Bong Toy says, they feel really nice too. I only have the first one, Diabows V2, and it's a blast. That one is the one I actually want to get, but it's so expensive and out of stock. I think they're doing a reissue, and there are a couple KOs. Eddie Miseo Castillo says, I have this one. I would like the OG blue and the black one, but they are too expensive in the aftermarket. So yeah. All it takes is one. Less Effective says. All right, well, let's look at the bottom figure here. Obviously, it's the leg sections. There's a couple of modes for this as well. So the first thing we'll do is, let me take out the core bot here just really quickly. And again, there's a couple things we can do. We can plug this one here, or we can plug it in this way. We'll show both modes. But the first thing we'll do is transform the bottom. So we're going to go ankle tilt, and then bring this whole ankle, untab it, bring it up into the side of the leg. We're going to bend it forward at this kind of mid-shin. Then we're going to rotate this around, but not 90 degrees. It's kind of like 45 degrees. You'll see there's this tiny little rectangular port here and a little tab there. You're going to want to have those aligned. And then, you have to make use of the knee joint. So you need to rotate at the thigh a little bit and then bring this around. So when you bend at the knee, that rectangular piece on the hip or thigh will go right into there. And then you want to angle the thigh, the hips, so that they're not 90 degrees straight back, but actually at a slight angle like 30 degrees. And you'll know you got it right when this tab goes into the back of the hips. So you want it to look like this. So we'll repeat again. Ankle tilt, bring this out to the side, bend at the shin, that's also tabbed in. You're going to rotate at the thigh, inwards 90 degrees, and then rotate the lower leg at the knee so that this port lines up with this before you make use of the knee joint to tab that in. And then once again, you need to slightly angle the hips so that these tab in like so. And then you take this core bot and tab it in right there. And then you have another kind of vehicle. I don't know what these are called. I'm not going to look up all the names, but you can see this also makes use of these two wheels here. You can roll around. You can put the weapons on the ports on the bottom of the feet, like so. So very cool. Or again, you can make use of these clips as you'd like. So again, very cool. The other configuration is to basically undo this, and then you're going to want to rotate the hips downwards so that these treads are parallel to the ground and to the hips, like so. And then this will tab in at the top. And then once again, you can put the weapons on the sides or the feet or the clips. And then you have another mode. All right. And then if you take this guy back, port him back into where we had before, peg these arm pieces into the front, and then connect the, bring this down this way. You use this big port, and there's a spring-loaded clip mechanism in the hips with a button release here. You can clip this in. This starts becoming the mech mode, and then you can start transforming the arms. Oh, actually, we should have done the other way. But actually, let me do it the other way first. What we should have done is actually do this way. Lift this up. It doesn't matter, but it's a little bit easier to do less transformations back and forth. What I actually should have done is done this mode first, because now I'm going to have to transform it back. But in any case, let's bring it back to what we had before with these clipping into the back. You can tab these in, and these tabs here go onto there, and then the hips connect to the upper body. These tabs go from the foot to the top of the shoulders. Get these back into the front. Fold this down, and then you have that tank vehicle that we showed off at the very beginning. Using these ports again. Yeah, so you can really do all sorts of things. Come on. Like so. So that's one of the combined modes. We'll say this is the first combined mode. Take these off, and we'll reverse kind of what we just did. Untab these shoulders from the feet. We're going to bring this down. Bring these back to how I had them earlier when I said, oh, we can do it this way. Tab the upper and lower body down like this. And then you can either make the arms back into fists, or you can make them, straighten them out and tab everything straight to make them kind of like Gatling guns. This actually reminds me a lot of, do you guys remember that movie Robojocks? It's like this old like 80s movie where there's a sports competition where they drive mechs and stuff like that. But yeah, it's called Robojocks. There was like, I forget if it was like different country or not, but there was like a black one and there was the white one. I forget what the white one was called. I feel like it was some kind of like Greek or Roman name, like not Hercules, but in any case, you can do what you want with these. You can make it basically kind of like a robot. Bring this back down, add things to the back here. Mechas, did you buy HasLab Deathsaurus? No, I did not. I did not. I know a lot of folks did, but I'm not a huge fan of Deathsaurus, so it's too late now. But yeah, here's another combined mode. You can have these cannons come up to the side, over the shoulders and so forth. And again, depending on how you want it, you can actually convert these back into fists. So it's a mecha mode with some fist on one side. You can have them with a sword. You can actually use one of these extra clips and come into the shoulders here if you want them to have a shoulder mounted sword for some reason in this mech mode. Yeah, and then because of his waist articulation and so forth, he can still rotate. He can angle upwards. Yeah, so very cool. I like this mode a lot. This is my probably second favorite mode after the robot mode, which we'll get to right now. So from here, it's very easy to get to robot mode. We just make the fist. So we already did it on one side. All we have to do is come to this side, open this up. You see there's a little tab here that makes it easier for you. I was talking about this in my previous review of the Roller. Where's Roller? Roller. We're going to do a comparison with him in a bit, but there are certain things that, you know, experienced or very good companies do. They're like kind of quality of life things, and little tabs like this to make it easier to get fist out are things that I was talking about. Or like those tabs, small tabs that we had, the guiding tabs on these hips here. So when we straighten out these hips, these small guiding tabs, which help you make sure that you get things aligned. Those are things that like really good designers and thoughtful designers put in that, you know, less experienced companies do not. All right, so we're straightening out the leg. Remember to bring the thigh around so that the mushroom slot is in the front, because that's how you get the knee joint. We're going to straighten out the lower leg and clips in like so. So then you have these two wheels on the side. Bring back the ankle joint. That will tab in here. And then make use of the ankle tilt to get the foot down. And we just have to rotate at the knee to get it positioned correctly. We're going to go ahead and do the same on this side. Get this straightened out. Get this straightened out. Ankle. We're going to bend at the knee. Rotate around so we have all the legs correct. And on the way to robot mode, you'll see that there's another kind of mixed robot mode where you can have the core bot looking like this, where you have the cockpit coming out the front. This also looks very much like that RoboJox movie I was telling you about. I think that movie is free on probably something like Tubi or something like that. You guys should check it out. It's kind of funny. It's cheesy 80s stuff. It's like B-movie grade stuff, but it's still fun. And then lastly, to get him into the full combined mode, whatever you call it, take out the core bot. We're going to reverse what we did before, where we bring out the head here. Make sure it's extended all the way forward when you do that so you don't have any interference. To sit that down, it doesn't clip into place, but then we push back and then we slot this back in. And there we have Tridasher in his combined mode, whatever it's called. So yeah, you can see in just a short amount of time, we went through a couple of different modes for like the bullet core. For the top machine, we did 2 modes. Bottom machine, we got 2 modes. We did, I guess, 4 technically combined modes. The one with the tank that was extended this way. We had the mech mode, which looked like kind of like the gun tank from Gundam. We had the mech mode, combined mech mode with the head hidden. And then we have the full combined robot mode with the robot head revealed. So yeah, so much stuff you can do. There's also lots of different ports around here. They make use of these things in kind of weird ways too that I don't think is really that interesting. But you can port some of these onto the lower leg. Like so, using this port. And then you can use this to house the weapons at a side. Or you can bend this out this way and then clip in the sword. So it's kind of like sheathed on his leg, not really the hip. It would have been cooler if you can port it somewhere to the side, but yeah, you still have that availability. And you can clip it on with this piece here or the handle itself. Either way works. All right, so now that we're in kind of the final robot mode, I'm going to show off a little bit more of the articulation now where it makes more sense. So his head's on a ball joint as we showed before. We can pop that in and out. I wish he could look down. He can't look down at all due to the chin molding and this whole neck panel. And then when you look up, this panel does come up very easily since it doesn't clip in. But he does have that bobble. He has shoulder joints that go all the way around. This goes out to the side. He has a bicep swivel. He has a single jointed elbow, which doesn't get quite 90 degrees because of this tab that goes into this side piece here. It can go 90 degrees if you go out to the side like that, though, and that clips in. You can use these weird accordion pieces here if you want to get him to have a little bit more funky looking elbow joints, like so. Obviously, that breaks up the look. But if you want to get into some interesting poses, you can make use of that. So I just wanted to share that. But normally you want to have that tab facing front so that the elbow is there. He has the rotation at the forearm as well. And then we saw the rotational joint at the transformation of the wrist and fist that go in. He also has a swivel. It goes out here. His hands are MP car style, where there's molded thumb and all 4 fingers are one molded piece. Man, I got some calluses here building up. What else does he have? As far as core articulation, he or like torso articulation, he can use that transformation joint to look up. So he does have that. If you move out his backpack, he can actually go completely straight up, which looks kind of weird. But I guess you can have that. Unfortunately, he doesn't have an ab crunch, which is the one piece of articulation I really would like to have with this figure, but unfortunately he does not have that. Waist swivel that goes 360. And again, there's that little button here on the back of the butt, which you can press in to release the mushroom pegged connector there. The hips, forward 90 degrees, back 90 degrees, friction all the way. This goes out even more than 90 degrees. He has a thigh swivel, which we showed before. He has the knee swivel. He has a 90-degree knee bend. He has these weird joints here, which you're not going to really use for robot mode. But then he has 2 points of articulation at the ankle. You can untab this and get him to come out wide, all the way out if you want to for some interesting poses. But even without that, he does have all this ankle articulation going out, going in. You can do this to go out. He has a little bit of upwards and downwards toe pointing and so forth. And I think that's it. Again, not really talking about the ports on the back for these armatures. But yeah, he has a good amount of articulation. I will say, though, that the way it's designed, it does make him a little hard to pose in certain ways, though. Like I said, the elbows aren't quite 90 degrees, which is pretty limiting. And he doesn't have any butterfly joints, so you can't get any poses across the chest, unfortunately. I was trying to do some of that. So he does look a little awkward depending on how you try to pose him. But again, he does have a lot of articulation. You just got to be a little bit more imaginative. All right, so we'll push this off to the center here. I just want to show you how small he is. So if you guys remember, I did this review of ModFan's roller the other week, and this was a $50 figure, maybe even cheaper if you got them overseas, and they're almost the same size. Comparing him to Voyager Megatron here, he's exactly the same size. Who else do we have? I guess we can show him off next to MP Prime, just to show how big the disparity is and the sizing here. And is there anything else? I think that's good as far as comparisons go, right? Again, I haven't opened all the other figures yet, so I don't really know how he scales with those. But I was expecting these to be a lot bigger, especially for the price, right? So that is a pretty hefty price tag at $230-ish, or even at $200 for such a small figure. But he does have a lot of fun playability in it, so it's hard for me to complain. Sorry, I missed a whole bunch of messages here. Oh, Less Effective said, "Oh yes, I'm old enough to remember RoboJocks. Mecha's paid $270 for him off of on eBay. I'm wondering if you're talking about this or Dia Battles. I'm in the middle of changing my brakes while listening to you. All right, thanks, Princeton." So yeah, I haven't talked a lot about the weapons and his ability to hold them, but I mean they're pretty standard, right? You can put these in there. You can mount these onto the shoulders. The swords again are very nice. I like how they're like knurled. You don't need to open the hands or anything like that to make use of them. And the silver paint is quite nice. Just be careful when you use it to port on like any of these clips or something like that. They show you in the manual that you can click these on, like by sliding them in. Just be careful so you don't scratch them up. I would suggest that you actually come in from the back side and clip to the top like this. Come on. And then you can port this in the back or the center as a sheath. But yeah, overall, that's it. I'm not going to transform back because I don't know that it really makes sense to transform these guys back into the various modes. But the playability feature of this system is what makes this interesting. A lot of times you feel like you get a figure that's part of a system and then you'll be like, well, I can't really do that much with just this figure alone. I need to buy like 4 other figures to make it work. But this one, you do get a lot just out of this. Like, how many modes did we talk about? 2 on the bottom, 2 at the top, 4 combined. So what, that's like 10 modes just standard out of the box ones. And again, you can do so much with these that it makes the possibilities just pretty endless. So even with just this one figure, you have a lot of playability. I did want to show off a couple of things. I'm not going to do full reviews on these guys probably because they're just the bullet core, but I did want to show you that you can take some of these, again, more from Halius. You can actually take some of these different ones, and to make them look different, you just undo that. You slide this one in as is. Come on, like so. You can also bring this down, so you get a totally different look. You can obviously swap the heads if you'd like, so you want a blue chest but the same head. And they're all a little bit different. So I thought originally that these cores were just going to be like the same core but just different colors or something like that. But they are all pretty significantly different. So let's see. This one doesn't open up the way that you would expect. It actually opens up forward, and it doesn't have like that harness. You just clip in there, and it has these 2 slots. So then you can clip this one in, and it looks like a totally different bot. I'm sure you can take the lower legs of another figure, take this out, port that on here, have a mix and match. So the combinations can be really endless. So yeah, that's what's really cool about this set. Like I said, thanks to Halius for sending over. I thought he was just going to send over like 1 or 2. But then he sent over so many that, honestly, I don't even know if I'm going to be able to review them all. And this set does also come with 3 different drivers. You can see how, similarly, how they're mixed and matched. The colors are different. The upper, lower body, they're slightly different and so forth. So yeah, it's very cool. It's nice that they do this because, again, you need basically a core for every other piece. The top and bottom machine need a different core. So with just this one, you'll get, you know, one of the upper bodies, top machines to be able to transform into the machine, but then you feel like you have an incomplete machine. You don't want to buy a whole second figure just for a core. You can buy a set of 3 cores, and you just have a lot more playability with that figure. So yeah, like I said, kind of like the Lego of robots here. All right, so I did ask to see in the poll, the live poll, if you all enjoy Diaclone, if you collect them or not. Let's see what the poll says. Wow, surprisingly, 90% of you also love Diaclone. Well, 88% to 11%. Again, the missing 1% that goes somewhere when we talk about YouTube polls. Let's see. I also wanted to see if there's any questions. Let's see if there's any questions that anyone dropped. No questions. All right, so we'll end the Q&A there. But yeah, Oh, sorry, not my tripod. As far as my first experience with the Diaclone rebooted line, I think it's a really cool line. I don't know that I'll collect them. Like Less Effective seems to think I'm gonna fall down the slippery slope of Diaclone. I don't know if I will. Maybe if I check out the Dia battles, who knows? But I'll be back with a bunch more. Like I said, I showed off just how many we had, but I'll preview some more. What else did he send over? He sent over this small bot, which also works with cores, I guess. They're like battle suits. I don't even know what these are. Yeah, and then you can combine it with the wings of one of the big bots. It's crazy. So we got that. That's coming. We also got this other big figure, which I think is probably going to be the same size as this. So this one's kind of like drill based. Oh yeah, and look at this one. It has like a whole crane thing on the backpack, like this machine. Yeah, look just a cycle here, and then this other one, this Hawk Versalter, which looks kind of like a helicopter. Oh man, look at this thing. This thing has like a backpack wing set. Very Gundam-esque. So we got that we're gonna take a look at. We already showed this one off. The other Versalter. What else we got? We got to take a look at this thing, which looks like a military like vehicle. This one's super heavy. It's like a this is way heavier than these. I wonder why this one's so heavy. It looks pretty basic, but it feels like there's a brick in here, literally. Oh yeah, so it's a little convoy vehicle. What else do we have? I think that's it. I think that's it, but again, oh, and we already did the course, so yeah, look at all this stuff we're going to be reviewing over the next couple weeks. All right, so let's see. Oh, I got some questions here. Hey Polaris, how's it going? And the Halius back in here says, for me, the price is about 75% justified, really intricate plastic detailed, and good paint wear applied. Yeah, I agree. And like I said, they have just a small attention to detail that we don't always see with a lot of other figures. And I think you can make an argument, right? There's a lot of playability and details in this, a lot of engineering that goes into this, maybe even more so than what we got with like, a $400 Optimus Prime MP44, right? Who knows? I mean, I think if this is something that speaks to you in terms of nostalgia or just in terms of engineering, or again, just the system itself, maybe you don't care about Diaclone, but you think the ability to mix and match and combine bots really as you'd like is something that appeals to you, then this line might be for you. Overall, I would say the plastic quality is really quite good. It actually reminds me, at least in the surface details, of kind of like old school like Fans Project Make Toys. It kind of reminds me of that, just the styling. They had this kind of styling early on. So yeah, very cool. Again, it's hard for me to recommend in general, but again, if it hits the mark for any of those things I talked about, just overall playability of a system, nostalgia, or just the fact that it's really cool engineered stuff that lets you do a lot of different things, maybe you think it's worth the 200 plus bucks. I'm gonna review some more of these and get these back to Haley's as soon as I can. Probably won't be until the new year, but stick with me. If you like the Diaclone reviews that we're doing, please give it a thumbs up, share, and subscribe. Drop some love for Halius down in the comments. Also, help educate me. I mean, if there are cool things about the story or from the lore or from recommendations on how to combine some of these figures, let me know so that I try to address those in my future reviews. But that's it for today, everyone. I appreciate you sticking around with us. Hope you guys are having a great holiday season as we get into Christmas, Hanukkah, New Year, whatever you celebrate, Kwanzaa, anything. Hope you guys are having a great holiday season, and we'll see you next time. Have a good one, all.